Julius Malema is one of those people who benefited from tenders during his days in the ANC, and he had many properties because of that. But guess what? He never went to jail for it. Welcome to Citizen Concerned, where we remind you to beware of the comrades. I'm Katlego and would really appreciate it if you subscribed to our YouTube channel, liked and shared this video with other citizens. The case was postponed and then again until the judge decided to throw the case out.
Criminal charges flushed. Malema was all smiles and unshaken, maintaining that the charges against him were baseless.
I stand before all of you, an innocent man without a dark cloud over my head, that the state has failed for a very long time to bring their case before court.
The case was struck off the court roll after the prosecutor failed to convince Judge Mutle that the trial could proceed without co-accused Kagiso Dichabe. Dichabe has been in hospital since July. Lawyers for Malema and Gwangwa argued that it was unclear when Dichabe would be fit to stand trial and that another postponement would prejudice their clients. But the NPA says Malema and his co-accused may not be out of the woods yet.
A strike-off is not a verdict, it's not an acquittal. It can be reinstated on the basis of approaching a relevant DPP with jurisdiction to issue a certificate reinstating the matter.
Well, minutes after this crowd heard the court's decision, it was jubilation outside court, while Malema's supporters say they never doubted that he would walk out of this court victorious.
I mean, what kind of justice is this? But SARS managed to get back a lot of the money that was involved in this case.
In 2011, Julius Malema admitted he was living large on borrowed money.
I do not own that house. That Mercedes-Benz you love so much, Stephen, it's not owned by me. It's owned by ABSA.
So just how did he manage to rack up a tax bill of over 16 million rand when he claimed to be just an ordinary employee of the ANC?
Anybody who is at my level in terms of employment and other business activities, for sure can afford to get a loan on those things. So instead of being rich, I remain poor, but I'm credit worthy.
But now it appears he wasn't all that forthcoming. The South African Revenue Service believes Malema is a multi-million rand tax dodger and has turned to the courts to get what it's owed. If the SARS application succeeds, all Malema's properties will be placed under curatorship and be auctioned off to cover his debts. That includes a house, farm and small holding in Polokwane and this mansion, which is still under construction in Sandown. Papers submitted to the High Court show how Malema provided conflicting explanations for his financial affairs. And the former Youth League leader could now be facing additional criminal charges.
The only organization in South Africa that seems to do a bit of work is SARS, isn't it? They simply come and freeze assets and auction assets, whatever it takes.
2,550,000 going for a third and last time, sold the German for 2,550,000 rand.
The farm is the second of the former Youth League president's properties to go under the hammer. His incomplete Sandown mansion was sold in April. Cars, furniture and other goods were auctioned in Polokwane earlier this year. Malema still owes SARS more than 9 million rand on his 16 million rand tax bill. That's after the Sandown house was sold for 5.9 million rand.
But the National Prosecuting Authority and the courts keep letting us down, time after time. I mean, the Mercedes Viano that Julius roams around in was bought with the Limpopo money that Malema was involved with. And to this day, the Mercedes is still here, but consequences never came. How about this case, huh? 2 weeks before the 2009 elections, the NPA also dropped the Jacob Zuma case. The case had been going on for years at that point. 8 years to be precise. As if it was nothing major, towards the elections, they simply dropped the case and Zuma was free.
Mokotedi Mshe, then acting NPA head, argued that former Scorpions boss tried to influence the outcome of the ANC's 2007 elective conference by serving an indictment to prosecute Zuma. Mshe, after listening to the recordings, dropped the charges. It came just weeks before the 2009 general elections.
Shabir Sheikh went to jail for the same crime that Zuma was supposed to be going to jail for. But guess what? Zuma survived. Why? Because of the NPA. And that's not all. The same year that Zuma became the president of South Africa, Shabir Sheikh was released from prison after serving less than 3 years of his 15-year sentence. Medical parole, they said.
Shabir Sheikh was convicted of fraud and corruption in 2005. This flowed from his relationship with then Deputy President Jacob Zuma. He served just over 2 years and made medical parole in 2009 for a terminal illness. 6 years later, he wants to consult doctors overseas.
The same trick that Zuma and Ramaphosa tried using to get Zuma out of jail for being in contempt of court. Sheikh was on house arrest and he was also released from that house arrest by Cyril Ramaphosa.
It would be unfair as well as unjust to continue with the prosecution.
Even the Supreme Court stated clearly that it was irrational for the NPA to drop the case.
Barely a month after the Constitutional Court ruling on Nkandla, another damning court judgment against President Jacob Zuma.
The decision of the first respondent dated 1st April 2009 to discontinue the prosecution of the case against the third respondent in accordance with the indictment served on him on the 28th December 2007 is reviewed and set aside.
The ruling stated that the ultimate decision to drop charges should not have been made by the National Prosecuting Authority.
Those charges must be continued and Jacob Zuma must have what he's always wanted, his day in court.
We are now in 2024 and the NPA keeps doing this kind of nonsense. They did it on Duduzane Zuma as well. We have a case that is opened, Duduzane is arrested, he pays his bail, and guess what? The case simply fizzles out.
Now, according to reports, the National Prosecuting Authority, or the NPA, will drop the corruption charges against Duduzane Zuma today. Now, in a statement, the NPA said that the reason for this is that evidence by former Deputy Finance Minister Mcebisi Jonas that was given at the Commission of Inquiry into State Capture has not yet been finalized. The charges stem from allegations that he tried to bribe Jonas in 2015.
Why would the NPA have a habit of opening cases and then drop the case because of whatever reason? They keep giving excuses every time instead of just doing their job. Instead of providing witness protection where it's needed, they simply keep messing up important cases in South Africa. Duduzane Zuma is busy living his life to the fullest now. His father is the supreme boss of the MK party now. He's in charge of the attack on our constitution as we speak. His minions, who are tarnished by many allegations of corruption, are currently sitting in parliament getting orders from Jacob Zuma, and this is the fault of the NPA. The ANC has managed to rot a vital institution which is now incapable of holding the most influential people to account when they commit crimes.
Now, police are set to resume operations in and around Soweto this morning. It follows the death of 16 people in a Tarvin shooting over the weekend. Authorities have since obtained video footage of the massacre.
The group of 6 men who were linked to the Soweto Tarvin shooting were let go. The NPA dropped the case. Why? Because the witnesses are too scared. Why? Because some of the witnesses were being gunned down. Some of the witnesses were assassinated, which has caused the rest of the witnesses to not want to give their testimony. So we are just dropping the case. Ever heard of witness protection, NPA? Imagine, people get assassinated. People get intimidated and people get paid off in order to allow a criminal to go free.
The family of Xolani Kunene, who was shot and killed back in August of 2022, are hoping to see progress in his murder case with AfriForum at their side. Kunene was killed allegedly by his childhood friend Buhle Mabaso. Mabaso was arrested soon after the incident and was granted bail. Since then, the family says there have been constant postponements, and worse, they claim they've been offered compensation by Mabaso's lawyers, which would see the accused serve no prison time.
Xolani's sister, Cindy Siwe, says their case shows the gaps within the National Prosecuting Authority.
The NPA has marketed itself as victim-centric. And now you are pushing us to look at independent institutions like AfriForums for comfort and to feel supported and backed up. For the first time in this case, we felt like we are also visible, empowered victims because the AfriForum is standing with us. We do not have that confidence with the prosecution.
She says they could not understand why they were pushed to accept 500,000 rand in compensation.
My observation and my experience was that the prosecutor and the investigating officer were really pushing that we accept the 500,000, which I did not understand because I asked them the question, why would you table a deal before us where the accused is asking for a suspended sentence and he's also claiming that this was a culpable homicide? When you've seen the footage and you have promised us that this matter could be wrapped up within 6 months because it's straightforward.
Just recently, AfriForum's Barry Bateman shared CCTV footage of the alleged murder of Xolani on social media. A figure with a gun comes out of a vehicle and towers over someone lying on the ground and seems to fire multiple shots at him. Bateman says they will seek a private prosecution on behalf of the family.
The family of Mr. Kunene, they were at a loss for what was happening in this particular matter. There was a point where they were approached with a plea deal. Not that the plea deal was simply put on the table, but they alleged that the investigating officer and the prosecutor tried to convince them to take money in order for the accused to accept a plea of culpable homicide. So these are the red flags that were being raised by the family. They were asking these questions to the NPA, but they were getting no answers.
Citizens' families and friends get murdered, and then criminals simply get handled a little bit, and after a few weeks or months, they are free. Citizens' money gets stolen through corruption, and cases are postponed. And this is a normal occurrence with the NPA. Delays, postponements, over and over again, until the case gets so old and stale. Some people forget what the case was even about, and soon enough, the charges get dropped. Imagine dropping charges because the criminals might murder the suspects. Imagine what kind of country we now find ourselves in. The VBS case is making me boil. Not because it involves EFF's Julius Malema or Floyd Shibambu, but because it involves the one entity that has let us down over and over and over again. Every time we hear that there is a case that needs justice to be dished out to the criminals, we are left wondering whether justice will in fact be served. The NPA, or National Prosecuting Authority, has been the one thing that stands in the way of justice for many of the South African citizens. Something really needs to be done in this entity. We are tired of our tax money being wasted on endless cases that go nowhere. We need the NPA to be exposed for the incompetencies that keep on plaguing our country. We can't have a scenario where the NPA is the one thing that causes criminals to go scot-free. Every time that the criminals are supposed to be jailed, we are failed by the people that we, the taxpayers, are funding. We are the ones that pay the salaries of the NPA. Everyone in the NPA should be focused on making sure that people feel safe. They should focus on making sure that their credibility is never questioned. Instead, over and over and over again, the most important cases to ever fall on the lap of the NPA usually get messed up. Is that a coincidence? I wonder. Right now, the story regarding the VBS scandal is still drumming on. The affidavit was leaked for all of us to see what the convicted senior director at VBS had done with the EFF. And that's great news. We wanted that to come out. Stories like these are very essential in order to save South Africa. There are several people who are taking power in South Africa, and when you look at their history, you realize that these are people with such dirt in their history that it is not even funny. Zuma is a king of them. He's in charge of a big party. He should be in jail, and yet here he is saying, I am innocent. Malema is one, says he's innocent too. Shibambu is another one. He is innocent too. Tutuzile has her own dirt. John Hlophe did his own kind of dirt. Nhlamulo Ndlela has his own dirt. But all three of them are members of parliament saying they are innocent. Carl Niehaus has tons and tons of his dirt, also a member of parliament. Here is Julius Malema talking about this great member of the EFF.
An ace, if I were ace, I will tell that white guy, Carl Niehaus, to keep quiet, because it's not helping him at all. Carl Niehaus are the people you tell, or you must stop calling me. That type of a person who just messes up your political programs and wake up in the morning and say, Makashule for president, and there's no even coordination. Which revolution is going to be led by such a questionable character like Carl Niehaus? Elections of leadership, if you've got a particular program you're advancing, should be led by people with credibility. Not a person who has buried his mother 5 times and asked for money from people, and then he comes from the grave and come and run your campaign straight from the grave. Who can't have that type of...
In what world does it make sense for Carl Niehaus to be a member of the National Assembly? But hey, he is a member of the National Assembly representing the EFF. The same person that Julius Malema was talking about in that clip, that is the same person that is an EFF rep in Parliament. We have many people that are so grimy, slimy, dirty, and untrustworthy in our Parliament. The only institutions that are supposed to protect us from these types of people are law enforcement institutions, the police, NPA, and the courts. And yet they are the ones that keep on letting us down. For as long as the police, the courts, as well as the National Prosecuting Authority keep letting us down, citizens will forever be voting for corrupt leaders. South Africans support and love these corrupt people. They dance for them and they vote for them. Why? Because the police and the NPA are not doing their jobs. That is why. How can we all know that these people are corrupt and still have nothing to show for it? So now the news has come out regarding the case of VBS. The affidavit was leaked, and guess what? The NPA is threatening to sue the people that leaked the document. They have sat on this document and kept quiet for more than a month. When were they thinking of giving us feedback? The citizens are the ones who have been stolen from, not them. So when were they going to give us feedback? We are the ones that pay their salaries. There's no news here. We need action taken against the people that stole, against the people that benefited, and yet the NPA wants to waste our money doing what nobody asked them to do. We need action taken against the names that have been revealed so that this VBS matter can finally be put to rest. So stop tweeting and start doing your job. The NPA is a serious liability at this point. We need a serious conviction rate of corrupt private and political officials. Stop tweeting. Stop the nonsense of trying to bully concerned citizens. We want justice, and that is all. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and share the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm Katlaro. This is Citizen Concerned. And until next time, beware of the comrades.